Okay, we are live and welcome to Women's Body Empower. And so hi Coach Katie, I have not seen you in a while.
I know. It feels like crazy. Like, we're back. Hooray.
It's been a little bit, it's been a month. So anyway, we will get back to our regularly scheduled broadcast, hopefully. And today's topic is going to be, how do you stay consistent with your goals? What are your top tips for, it can be staying consistent with your goals, just keeping yourself on track. Like, a lot of people say, how do you stay motivated? But I don't stay motivated myself personally. Like, motivation, it comes and goes. Sometimes I want to do it more than others. But I would say my number one tool for staying consistent for me is like going back to my why. Like, why am I even doing this? Why did I start? What do I want to get out of it? Right. So to stay consistent, I am always reevaluating my goals. I am always, like, if I have a goal, whatever season I am in, if I am prepping for a show or if I am working on building, I have a goal, right? So I'm just going to keep going back to that goal. Like, where do I want to be? I want to be better than I was. I can go back and look at pictures, and that is what keeps me on track and consistent, is like, I want to see improvement. And if I'm not consistent in my efforts, then I am not going to get the results that I want. What about you, Coach Katie? What would be your number one?
I agree. So for me, so I'm normally a very positive person, right? I'm always like, think of the good things, like all of that. But honestly, a lot of what I feel like is the cause of my continued, like, just stick to itness, right? Like, just staying in it, staying consistent no matter what, and not really getting knocked off track, whether it's injuries and working through that, or kids, or life, or whatever it's throwing at me, and just staying consistent with training, is because I went back and I decided I am more uncomfortable with the version I am now than it is to do the work, right? Like, the way I was, or my inability to not perform at the level I wanted to, made me uncomfortable. So I went ahead and just created this, like, list of all the reasons why I would be more comfortable after I achieved those goals, right? As I was training, what that training would do for me in providing that more comfortable lifestyle. And so I didn't like, being uncomfortable, not being able to move like I wanted to move, not being able to perform the fancy exercises I thought were really cool, right? Like, feeling really, really silly. And I just went back and made a list of all of the things that really were negative things about where I was at that point. Big, really negative things, just honest negative things about what was going on. When I wasn't training, I was eating like trash. I was talking to myself like I was trash. I was, not happy with my inability to do, little things, or not being able to do things I thought would be really cool, right? So handstands, toe to bar, a full squat, those sort of things. Where was my body kind of holding me back, and why was I upset with that? Having to use lifter shoes because I have really limited ankle mobility. Well, what am I going to do about that? Like, am I uncomfortable being uncomfortable? Like, that's fine. And so for me, it was just deciding that I was okay with being uncomfortable as far as being like a work in progress, but I was not okay with staying where I felt uncomfortable. And so that was the mindset shift that helped me. I was going to point out when you were talking, because I think you're right with the motivation. Sometimes it's hard to keep motivation, and you're probably seeing this with your clients too, especially now that winter's coming. Everybody knows what to do. I don't know how many times I've worked with women and it's like, I know what to do, right? I know what I should be doing or could be doing that's going to move that needle for me. Why am I not doing it? Why are they not doing it, right? Like, if we know all of these women know what to do and how to do it, why are they not doing it? There's got to be that accountability, that's something that's going to build in that consistency with them. And so, sometimes and I'm sure you refer to yourself too as that accountability partner. more so than, sometimes a coach when they already know what to do, but we really just are there to make sure that they do what they said they're going to do. So sometimes that's the key too. I think you see that too.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, so I think it's really easy. Okay. So going back to, all right. So I said, what was my number one thing? See, I already forgot. Tell me back. I'm quizzing you, Katie. What did I say was my number one?
Your number one thing for motivation?
Yeah.
Was
so
your why.
Right. My why. Okay. So building on the why, I think, you have to look at your goal. You have to look at your why. You have to look at your goal. But one thing to stay consistent, and like people talk about motivation, a lot of people tend to fall off, right? So why do you fall off? Like, here's the thing. When you fall off, it's so much harder to get back than if you just stayed there in the first place. So even if you have to, and I say this all the time, if you have to change your workout, if you have to modify your workout, if you have to do half of the workout, just still stay there, okay? Because it is a habit, right? So like, it's not about motivation, it's about building the habit and keeping the habit there, because once you've lost that habit, it is so hard to get it back, and you usually replace it with something else. I told my students at class, I said, okay, here's the thing. If you have a bad habit like drinking soda, for example, you can't just get rid of it. You replace it with something else. And it's almost like when we fall off of our workouts, it's not like we just quit. We do other things. So we have all of the things to fill in the time, right? And so we're so busy and we've got all of these other things that we need to do. So when we fall off of our plan, we fill it in with other stuff. And then that turns into a reason that we don't go back to the workout. And so then usually every time you fall off, it will take you longer to get back to where you were, because now you're doing all these other things, and that's your reason that you've stopped working out, right? And so every time it's like it seems to drag on longer. I was telling my friend today that I don't think I haven't had a week off that wasn't scheduled or intentional in like 10 years. Now, I have planned it. Like, I have planned deloads. I have dialed it way back. I have had like a week after a competition where I knew I needed recovery, or if you get sick and you can't help it, that's fine. But the process is still there. So you need that. You've got to have the habit. You've got to have the continuation. And I think the accountability piece keeps you on that track. If you've got an accountability partner or you're checking in with somebody, right? But if nobody knows what you're doing and nobody knows your goals, isn't it so much easier just to like let them fall to the wayside? This is what I always said about competing. I'm like, if I planned a show and I knew that this is what I was going to do, well, I mean, or if I thought I did, the best way for me to like make myself is just to tell people this is what I'm doing, right? Because you're going to stay, people are going to be like, oh yeah, aren't you doing that thing in whatever month? And then it's like, no.
That's actually, so a group of us, when we were training for the marathon, a group of us did that. And we literally, we didn't train together. We never trained together. Never ever even met up. But it was literally just like a 5-minute conversation we would have on training days. And it was just like, hey, I'm going for my run right now. And then everybody would go out their own front door, go for their run, and then check back in like, hey, that one sucked. Like the big one. Or like, I made it to whatever. And it was just like that checking in, solidifying to your brain that, yep, I showed up, right? We hadn't even done the work yet, but we showed up, said what we were going to do. We declared that we were going to do something. And then afterwards, I think this is the most important thing, was the immediate celebration. And people, if I could, honestly, I feel like if I could make a I don't know, figurative, like a virtual brag table for women to come to, like just like show up on any day and come to this table and just brag for 5 minutes. Get here and brag about what you just did. Everybody would go and start to build that habit because they're solidifying the loop of the, like, right? We know you have to have the reward system in there sometime. So when you can brag on yourself without that feeling of like, oh, nobody actually cares, you know, I feel bad because Sally over here only did 5 push-ups and I'm bragging about the 20 that I just freaking crushed, you know. But if you could create a space where women could just come and show up and do that, take 5 minutes, right? Literally give them 5 minutes, tell them show up and brag in this space where nobody's going to judge you. They're not going to judge themselves for not doing what you did, you know, because they're going to brag on themselves for what they said they were going to do. Then it would really, I think, start to move the needle for a lot of women that just need that space, that brag and, you know, I don't know, like I don't want to say brag. I feel like it has such a negative undertone, but like to show up and celebrate.
It's a celebration. Just like Beth said, she said that they check in like their Peloton workouts and stuff, and they take pictures and celebrate each other. And I'm telling you, you know, people celebrating people, women celebrating women, however you want to look at it, that is almost like the one thing that really women
way more valuable.
Need. You know, like we there's all these groups that people are judgy, and it turns into like, I did this and she did that and blah blah blah, and they get kind of catty. And you know, it's just about like, if you're celebrating, like everybody is, the key to know is that everybody is at such different levels. But man, you can celebrate everybody. It's like virtual high fives all over the place. Like, keep each other going. That's how you keep going, because you know when you're getting ready to come to the celebration table or whatever it is the next day, you know who's going to be there, and you're like, yes, see, I got these women cheering for me, and like, I'm going to do, you know, like, we've got the thing going on, like, we are a group, we're a family.
That's what we should do, Holly. I think we should do that. We should do that, because here's the thing. I can sell hundreds of programs to hundreds of women I don't know, right? Like, I mean, people can get on my store and buy the templated weight workouts and whatever. Doesn't do them any good. I swear to God, for every 100 programs I could sell, 1 will get done. 1, maybe. If they have a great support system and they don't have a husband that's getting nervous because now they're getting good looking, and, you know, like, there's that too. Like, I've got women that come here and they're like, well, my husband's getting a little nervous now. I've lost enough weight. He's worried I'm going to like start looking elsewhere. And I'm like, do not let that be the reason you stop. But I think that that's true. Like, I would value, and maybe other women would too, but I would value higher the ability to stay consistent, the coaching consistency over the what to do, right? I would value the here and now solidification of what you are doing over any of that.
Yeah, and you can, like, I mean, Lord knows how many people have looked for how many programs and switched how many programs, and like, you know, you do one, it's not right, you go to another, it's not right, you go to another, it's not right. But you know what, like, if you have this group and you're coming to celebrate all the time, it doesn't even matter what workout you're doing. You know, because you're going to be more consistent if you have that support and celebration, regardless of what the program is, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure,
it doesn't matter.
Oh, and that, well, to me, like, so I have clients that they'll program hop, you know, and then they get a little nervous because they're like, well, I'm just wasting my time doing whatever. I'm like, no. Beachbody works too, and they just throw in a DVD and it just, you know, kind of jumps out the next workout. There's no, you know, perfect program. You just got to show up every day and get something done, especially when you're a beginner, when your body's just starting to, you know, get into that groove. And I mean, beginner stage can last years. Like, if you let it last years, it's totally fine. You're still going to make those changes. You're still going to be healing your metabolism. I mean, things are going to be doing good things. I don't care how many times you switch, you know, as long as you keep coming back. That's the
You know,
main
I
thing. So
mean,
I think
when
you're
you're
right on
very
with that.
beginner, when you're very beginner, it's like you're just trying to move at that
Mm-hmm.
point, you know? So, like, something every day is something. If you're dancing in your pajamas for 20 minutes, guess what? You moved. You know what I mean? Like, that's a celebration.
Show
That
up
is
to the
something,
breakfast table tomorrow because
right?
that
I
counts.
mean, and we like to know like what music you dance to because it's fun to get to know about people, and it's fun to like share your celebrations and to know the people that are trying to better themselves, you know, because there's too much negativity, and like especially with social media, there is too much negativity and comparison, and like it's boo. It's just yuck. Like it's no good. It doesn't help anybody. It brings you down, and to have people that you can share your stuff with and celebrate and know that they're there, that is what we need. Not more
Mm-hmm.
scrolling on, well, why don't I look like her? You know, well, why don't I try her thing? Well, how, you know, love you where you are, and you know, celebrate where you are. And so I was talking about like focusing on the process. So when you're coming back and you're celebrating, you are focusing on the process. You are celebrating each day what you have improved on. So if you go from your 5 push-ups to your, you know, 6 the next week, 7 the next week, guess what? You're celebrating the process, and you're still here and you're still moving, and we want to celebrate that. So I think that's a great thing, and we need to work on
Which
this.
I think we do need to work on this because I think you nailed it too. Nobody cares about the end result. Like in reality, you should stop worrying about what that end result is because we hang ourselves every time we set those expectations that we don't know, right? Either we're setting them too high or too low. And the reality is, if we know where we're going and we know the process it takes, if we start to celebrate that process, we might surpass the goals we set for ourselves, you know, just by celebrating the process. But we get so hung up on, you know, it's this certain number, right? Or certain thing that we've got to get to. And then we delay our gratification. We delay that happiness, that ability to celebrate. So the dopamine, the serotonin, they never get to like mix and mingle in the brain to make it a fun process. So we quit, we give up because it's not fun.
Yes, it should be fun. It really
Yeah.
should. And we should celebrate more.
Oh
And
my
we're going to
gosh.
do this,
I'm
y'all.
going to just
So
like
I
write
want
this down and be
y'all,
like, guess what? We're doing the thing. I don't know how we're doing it or where we'll do it or what it will look like. But I do
okay,
think
so
that this should be a thing.
if y'all are watching this in the Body Empower group, then I want you to comment in the group.
Yeah.
Like, we need some brainstorming ideas, okay? So how we're going to make this celebration group, what you would like to see. If you are watching the replay later somewhere, or the podcast or the YouTube or whatever, please comment. Like, tell us your thoughts. Some people may be way more like tech savvy than me. Lord knows I sometimes struggle, but that's because, you know, my brain. So, you know, comment, how should we do this? How can we come to a celebration like every day and just like offer you ladies just a daily check-in? We just want like a daily check-in. Hey, we're here. I don't know what platform this would be on. I would like to say, like, honestly, like I would like
Zoom.
to have our own platform. Like,
Zoom.
so come in, check in on your day, like, hey, I'm here, this is what my plan is for the day, come back and tell us how it went. That's really, it's simple, but it builds consistency. And you know, sharing your celebrations is going to like keep you motivated to share, and it's going to keep you coming back, and it's going to keep other ladies coming back because they want to see how you're doing too. Or that's what I think. So, you know, drop
Yeah.
your comments.
Well, I think it will work two ways because I think people will show up and they'll start celebrating. Here's my thing. Here's where I'm like, oh, because I'm a rebel, guys. If you guys don't know the 4 tendencies, go read it. I'm a rebel. So as soon as somebody tells me I got to show up and celebrate, my brain goes, nah, right? But the other side of that is when people start noticing, hey, Katie's not there, somebody's going to reach out, right? And be like, hey, where are you? So twofold, right? You're showing up, you're celebrating that consistency, but when you're not showing up, somebody's going to, you know, send you a message or knock on your front door or something and keep you accountable. So it's that consistency and accountability that kind of like meshing. What I do like is I think if we could facilitate this, Coach Holly, here's my brain going like 1,000 miles an hour on this. if we could facilitate this, not only can we show up and like give that space, but to have that conversation, right? That daily conversation, because women get stuck way too often in the analysis paralysis of, well, I don't know, what should I be doing? What's the best thing I should be doing? I should be doing this, but I also want to do this, and I have this going on, and this and this and this, you know? And it would be really nice to just have that place where they can come and be like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Now help me write it all down. Like make it a process, make it an action step, right? Which is where the coaching kind of comes in. Because you have people all the time probably jump in your DMs and are like, hey, so I've got this going on and this and this and this. I would really like to be here. And you can pretty much kind of walk them through that. We could do it extremely fast if we had the back and forth conversation.
Yeah, I agree. So, you know, it's kind of like when you have the group texting going on, like on your phones, you know, and you've got like a group of people that you come on and that's who you're checking in with. And it's more, to me, I don't know, maybe this is just me, but it's more personable to be like on a group chat with your people than, you know, being in a Facebook group. The Facebook group to me is just kind of like, yeah, okay, well, maybe I'll go in and check out. But, you know, once I'm in like a group chat with a couple of ladies or whoever it is, I'm checking in with them, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm getting to know them. I know them better. I know what they got going on versus like 100 people or more in a Facebook group. And it's kind of like, you don't even see 75% of them. I don't know their names. I don't know what they're doing. You know, I want this, like, this is going to be like a more personal level, like where ladies get to know other ladies and they know what's going on so they can celebrate and really celebrate.
Yeah, I think so too.
So anyway, y'all, this is our plan. This is our thought. And so we'll keep it short. And please drop your comments. If you're watching the replay, give us your ideas, what you think about the idea, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay?
Yeah, let us know.
Thank you all. We'll talk to you soon.
Love you guys.
Bye.